Class, your attention, please.
Your teacher has a rule. School is cool.
Attention, everybody. Quiet down. Quiet down. Class is in session, and we're in a very special location this week as I have taken us on a class trip to the White Castle of Fear. My name is the Professor Tyler Wolf. I am joined, as always, by the prodigy, Anthony Cerulli. Mr. Cerulli, did you get your parents' permission forms signed so you can come to the White Castle of Fear on this wonderful trip?
Tyler! I am so hyped to talk about the White Castle of Fear. I had no idea what you were going to show me, but we're in for a doozy this week. It's going to be a fun episode. And yes, I did get my parents' permission. I hope you got the slip. I sent it to you yesterday, but we should be all good to go there.
I am so excited to talk about this because I don't think people, and especially like kind of like this generation of wrestling fan and people in your age group, have ever really got to see Vader like good. You know what I mean? Like WCW monster Vader. You know, like I think people just see his WWE run and they forget like how crazy Vader was. And I thought this was so fun. The White Castle of Fear. I mean, like we're gonna get into it, but like it's just some of the craziest stuff that went on. And this is when WCW was in like a really weird phase of making mini movies. So this was actually the second mini movie that WCW made. The first one they did was with Jake the Snake, Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal. I won't suffer you through that one until at least Halloween.
Yeah.
and then the third one was a tag team match with Sting, and poor Sting was in all of them. Sting and Davey Boy Smith against Vader and Sid. That was in the summertime, and I may suffer you through that one.
Oh boy. I'll be sure. If it's anything like the one I saw today, I'm sure it'll be okay.
So before we get into the lesson, I always like to ask, what did you know, if anything, about WCW during this time period in general, or this White Castle of Fear fiasco that we're about to get into?
I'm going to be honest. I didn't know anything about Surfer Sting. Well, I knew, Surfer Sting was a version of Sting, but I never seen any matches of his. I didn't see any of Vader during this time period, especially not with Harley Race, and really nothing from '93 WCW that I can think of. I had known that this kind of mini movie happened, although I kind of just put it off to the side and said, let me not watch that because I don't even want to imagine what's going on over there. But luckily, the classroom allowed me the chance to see it. So, a lot of stuff that I'd never seen before, but definitely was looking forward to it, especially with two guys like Sting versus Vader going at it. I knew that it was going to make watching the mini movie much worth it. So I was excited for this one.
Absolutely. And before we get into the build here, I just need to do a cheap plug, okay?
Okay.
Count it out with Mike and Tyler. We are celebrating our 100th episode this week coming up. We're going to be joined by very special guest Tyson Kidd, TJ Wilson from the WWE. So I hope you guys can all check that out. Well, that's it for me. I got nothing else to say. What do you think? Are you ready to get into this?
Yeah, ring the bell because class is in session.
So before we get into this current build, I figure let's have a little history lesson. And we're going to go back in time here. I want to kind of build up the history between Sting and Vader. And we're going to start with Vader winning the World Championship. I believe this was at the Great American Bash pay-per-view. And 1992, there it is right there. And I just, I sent clips of this. We didn't need to watch a whole match or whatever. But what do you think, man? I really love the finish here where Vader was kind of dominating Sting in the match. Sting was making his comeback, and he hit the Stinger Splash, but he overshot it, hit his head, busted himself open, and Vader capitalized to win the world title.
Oh, I really like this finish a lot. I feel like it adds to the naturalness. Like, there are a few spots in wrestling that it's like, you could do it one way, but it doesn't really seem natural. And I feel like that's a big part in wrestling, is that you want to make sure that it seems like it's an actual fight. You don't want to make sure that's always scripted. So the head on the post to knock him out. Although I thought it was a bit strange to begin with, I was like, oh, it makes sense because, he's just so energized and so just wanting to get at Vader that, he overshoots it. So I love that.
Yeah.
Sting's, I love the swing and a miss punches by Sting. I
Yeah.
thought that was just beautiful selling there. And although it's kind of a slow finish, I thought that was kind of the point of, just Vader kind of finishing it off because the job was already done with the head on the post. So yeah, I thought this was a really great finish.
I also love this next part that we're going to talk about. And I think it's something that we need to see more of in wrestling today is a sit down interview with Sting reflecting on his match with Vader and losing the world title.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, painful is being put into a corner. Painful is not knowing what to do the next time you're against Big Van Vader, but I'm not. There's no pain involved because I know what I have to do, and I have one last thing to say, and I want to say this to my fans, and I want to say this to all the little stingers, is I have turned it up, not one notch, but I've turned it up 2 notches, and I'm going to be ready for you, Vader.
Sting! Are you listening, Sting? How does it feel? I told you I was going to take you to the School of Pain. Well, you went through the school and you passed with flying colors. I told you I was going to take your most prized possession, and you're looking at it, brother, right here in living color. And now you want a rematch? You want one more piece of Vader? Well, you got him, all 448 pounds of him. But let me make this perfectly clear. You got one shot, one rematch, and then it's over, and then you'll have nothing left. Because next time, I'm going to take your pride.
Man, I absolutely love stuff like this. And I can't believe you've never seen Surfer Sting before. It blows my mind.
I know, never seen a promo or a match or any. Well, also I've never seen anything from Vader. I didn't know that we were getting this Stinger. Are you listening, Sting?
Sting. Oh man, I can't wait to get into more Vader promos coming up here. We'll keep moving on with the history here. Before we do though, what do you think about this little segment here? Like they put emphasis on the importance of a loss.
Yeah, good sit down interview here. Really love that Sting is, kind of just reflecting on him losing, but him coming back stronger. And I think that's the point of some of these promos is that you want to make sure that, even in defeat, that you still look strong. So I think Sting knows what he needs to do, and he's going to come back even stronger. And with Vader also making an appearance here, it also shows that it's going to be a tough task for Sting. So really good sit down interview here. Hope that we see more of these in the future.
I really like too that they hyped up some of Vader's other challenges. They mentioned guys like Ron Simmons in here, which was great. And then, we're going to fast forward a couple months now to December at the Starrcade pay-per-view. They had a big tournament for the King of Cable. Now, back in the day, we had this thing called cable television, and this was what this tournament was for. Who's the king of cable television? Sting and Vader. The highlights of this match look absolutely awesome. I would recommend going back and checking it out, too. It might be one of their best matches that they've ever had. And Sting gets the win in this one, so now we're kind of evened up, like 1-1 here. And this doesn't sit well with Vader, Vader gets pissed off about this, and he kind of lets it known in this next interview where he kind of puts over that he's mad that he's lost this, and that SuperBrawl, he kind of wants to show who the real champion is.
What about Sting?
Stinger, are you looking at me, brother? Are all the little stingers disappointed? Have they gone to the funeral yet? Because it's over, brother. You know what? I'm wearing the gold, and that's something I know you want. That's something you once had. But guess what? You got something that I want. And that's the King of Cable. Yeah. You want a rematch, Sting? I think me and Mr. Race can accommodate you anytime and any place. And next time. Yeah, next time.
Stinger.
Stinger.
Stinger, you have something I want, Stinger.
He the man of so many voices already with Vader. He when he's all buffed up, he sounds like a middle school bully. But he's able to just drop it back down to that menacing Stinger. Are you listening to me, Sting?
I love it. The many sides of Vader. and I like though that he's pissed that Sting beat him because he's this big monster. He's unbeatable. They're really booking Vader strong at this point. He's murdering everybody, and Sting got one on him. So now he knows, I want that King of Cable. I'm gonna offer you a title shot. You know, let's settle this, man. We're 1-1 right now on the big scales. Let's settle this, man. Let's make it happen. I'm the badass. I'm the big man. I'll fight you. I'll fight you.
I think it's also important to note that at the beginning of the promo, when we get a deeper look into Vader the person, he brings out his Super Bowl Rams ring. Be it that we were releasing this on the day of the Super Bowl, I hope that this isn't foreshadowing anything from us Cincinnati fans. But
I agree, as I will be devastated and might have to take a leave of absence from the classroom.
I'm going to have a substitute next week if that's the case.
And now things get awesome.
Stinger! February 21st, we have a date with destiny. SuperBrawl 3, the game becomes reality. Vader invites you to my White Castle of Fear for a SuperBrawl party. The challenge is presented for you to play a game. I know you like a good time. I know you like challenges. And I know that you like living on the edge. So take my dare. Accept my invitation. Come to the White Castle of Fear and play Vader's game.
Everything about that is so amazing.
It's my favorite promo in the whole feud. This is my favorite promo.
That's so good. I love, like, they got like this fake snow blowing on him and the cheesy like music in the background. Vader was so awesome here. It was like so cheesy, but in such a good way. Like, Vader made this work. He's over the top in the right kind of way.
He just has this energy to him that it's like anything he's saying, which is so ridiculous. He makes it so that it seems menacing, but it also comes off as ridiculous in a menacingly awesome way. Like, he's out here talking about, like, Stinger, you like to have fun. You like to go to parties. Like, the most random stuff.
I just feel so bad because, like, as after this promo, Vader does a squash match where he absolutely murders this poor guy. And Jim Ross is sitting here trying to, like, make sense. Like, what the hell's a White Castle of Fear? Like, it just, like, it's so bad for the commentators. Like, Vader makes it work, but, like, the commentators are normal people. And it's just, like, it sounds so bad that I'm trying to put this over. Something I do want to talk about really quick is Jim Ross mentioning Joe Thurman and Vader breaking his back. That's a shoot that happened.
Really?
And if you go on YouTube and type in Vader Joe Thurman, you'll see it. It's nasty.
Oof.
So now we're going to get another one of the great segments here. WCW Up Close with Sting. I love listening to, like, guys in character breaking down their matches. And I thought Sting and Tony were really great here. Sting breaking down what he did to beat Vader at Starrcade. And good for Sting and Tony for keeping a straight face when talking about the White Castle of Fear.
Tony, I don't know anything about the White Castle of Fear, and I didn't know anything about spin the wheel, make the deal. I walked right down into the Devil's Den with Jake the Snake, into his little world there, and I played his little game. It didn't pay off too good for Jake the Snake, though. So now the second time around, Big Van Vader, he wants to invite me to the White Castle of Fear, whatever it is. I don't care what it is. Let me tell you something, Vader. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm just glad to have the opportunity to get back in the ring with you, the World Heavyweight Champion. Maybe one of these days I'll regain that title again. I don't ever run away from an invitation, and I don't ever run away from a challenge, even if it comes from you. So I'll see you, my friend, at SuperBrawl, and I'll see you at the White Castle of Fear, because I like a party, and also I never walk away from anything.
And then, of course, world famous.
It all comes down to this. So I got to say, upon watching this, and I'll break it down in a second, I did not know what to choose to show the classroom. So with that being said, here are some of my favorite moments from the White Castle of Fear.
Another party. Let's go.
Come to the White Castle of Fear.
Where's this castle of fear, anyway?
Sting is here. Stinger!
Sting's here! Play the game!
You again.
Play the game!
Sting, this is one game you're gonna lose.
Who's the man? Who's the man? You're the man. Stinger!
Vader, nice place you have here. Reminds me of your personality. Cold.
Very funny, Sting.
What's up?
You're here to accept the challenge of Vader. You know what a strap match is? Well, I'm gonna show you Vader style.
Play the game! Play the game!
Harley Race, I love it. Very funny, Sting. God bless Harley Race.
Already an early candidate for the honor roll.
A
Play the
million-
game. Play
I'm
the
not-
game.
I love how they had Vader's helmet as the centerpiece at the dinner table.
That's
Also,
so true.
Sting, by the way, has to be the most gullible babyface in all of professional wrestling history. Like
Yeah.
he always just gives everybody the benefit of the doubt, and it never once has paid off for him. So, like,
I like the way that he delivers those lines is just so awful. He's like, Vader, nice place you got here. Reminds me of your personality. Cold. Like
that's when Rage. Very funny, Sting. That's the
Funny,
best.
Sting.
And then the guy with the eye patch, and Sting's like, you again, because he's in all three of the movies. He's
Oh,
like
is
the
he?
throwback, spin the wheel, make the deal. Sting's like, oh, you again. Like,
play the
he's like-
game. Play the game.
and then it's like Vader's just like, you know what a strap match is? It's like, obviously he knows what a strap match is.
Well, I'm gonna
Vader.
show you Vader style.
Then they have a tug of war over a bed of fire. Like amazing. Now, the main note that I have here is, now this is how you set up a title match, baby.
Yep. Yep.
And there's not a whole lot more build really to this. Like, we're gonna kind of skim through a little bit of it here. They shoot a couple angles. There was a really fun tag team match, Vader and Barry Windham fighting Sting and Dustin Rhodes. At the end of the match, Vader and Windham kind of hang Sting against the ropes and kind of whip him like a government mule, as JR would say. There's a couple other little segments. I couldn't find them, but I didn't notice this until I watched the beginning of the Starrcade pay-per-view. But I guess Vader like had Sting hung over the ropes at one point, and Sting did that to Vader. So they just did like little interaction like that with the strap. But it was mostly just promos, like these next two little clips that we have here, and I'll let you play them here.
Sting! Stinger! February 21st, SuperBrawl. The game becomes reality, and the party has only just begun. Stinger! Can you feel the leather around your neck? Can you feel it around your back? Stinger, you came to the White Castle of Fear, and I'm proud of you, brother, but that was the beginning of the end for Sting!
Oh, man, the whole wide world knows Van Vader, and I know I'm so happy you're the world champion, and I get a chance to wrestle you again in a special condition, the White Castle. Joined together wrist to wrist with a leather strap. You wanted it that way, I'll give it to you. You want to whip my hide, don't you? Well, I'm going to lug that 450-pound body of yours, if I have to all four turnbuckles, and I'm going to come out on top. And the way I see it, you got more hide to whip than I do.
I love Surfer Sting promos. They're so cheesy, but in such a fun way. Like,
He just has like a nice energy to him. Like he's just the ultimate baby face. Like it's someone that you want to root for. He just
Yeah.
has those one-liners and stuff.
but
and
he's like such a dad too. Like, I'm
Yeah,
gonna whip your
exactly.
hide. Like, you know what I mean?
you got
Like,
more
he's-
hide than I do.
But he's like so cool at the same time. Like, I don't understand how he does it here.
I don't know.
You know, and speaking of dads, that's kind of what he did in his next promo. Just great charisma as always. He puts over that even his dad never whipped him and how degrading it is. But it was kind of weird because during the build for this, they were also promoting like a big house show that they were doing. And Sting and Vader headlined the house show. And I thought that was kind of strange that they would promote that on TV as well.
True.
And it just more basic promos here. And you know, we'll kind of just skim through them because there's not really a whole lot to talk about.
If you heard
right?
those two that we just played, I feel like you heard them all. It's the same type of talking of both guys, but nonetheless, even though it's repetitive, like I still feel like it's great. It's just a good way to hype up your match through promos.
Yeah, absolutely. The last stop for Vader on the way here, it's just another squash match that he does. And I really enjoyed this one actually. And I could watch Vader squash matches all day. The punch at the beginning of this match, he absolutely kills this poor guy. But then the post match I thought was really good, where Harley Race painted the guy's face, and then Vader just started whipping him, kind of sending a message to Sting. You know what I mean?
True.
Which I thought was great. And then my favorite promo that Sting cut was the go home promo to this here. I'll let you play a clip of it, and I'll give you my thoughts on it.
When I hook the Scorpion Deathlock on you, Vader, I'm going to start cranking on that thing so hard. Your bones are going to start bending, Vader. And then I'm going to start thinking about how you broke the kid's back, and I'm going to squeeze harder. Then I'm going to think how you broke my ribs, and I'm going to squeeze even harder. And then I'm going to think about how you whipped me like a dog on national TV. And then I'm going to squeeze so hard, Vader, that your bones aren't just going to bend. They're going to start popping. They might even break a little bit. I might even smile in joy. And I'm going to ask you, is it going to be no pain, Sting? At that point, no, it's going to be yes, pain, yes, pain, yes, pain, Vader. Then I'm going to let go after I work my way out of my little frenzy. And I'm going to look down at you on the mat, and I'm going to pick you up, all 450 pounds of you. And I'm going to work my way to every single turnbuckle, all 4 of them. Each one, I'm going to hit it. No pain. Number 2, no pain. Until I hit number 4. It's going to be yes, pain. Yes, pain, Vader. Yes, pain. Yes, pain. Yes, pain. Yes, pain. Yes, pain. Think about that, Vader.
I never understood at the end of that promo when he's like, I'm going to touch buckle number 1, yes, pain. Number 2, yes, pain. And then number 4. Like, why can't he just say 3 also? Like,
three doesn't matter. You got to make sure you hit the first
And then
2.
when I hit the 4th one, it's like, well, you could have just said 3. Like, it flowed with the promos.
Yes, pain! Yes, pain! Yes, pain!
The thing I took away from this entire build, from start to finish, so many fur jackets. So many fur jackets. It's 1992.
Style,
1992 is not very animal friendly.
I know.
In the world of WCW. My God, Vader had about 17 fur jackets. Sting came out wearing a fur jacket. Unbelievable. I did really like this promo though. I thought Sting did a great job of kind of tying everything together. You know, he took everything from Great American Bash that's happened up until that point, and he reminded Vader of all the terrible things he did.
Yeah.
And how, you know, when I'm going to hook you in that deathlock, I'm going to think about that guy's back you broke. I'm going to think about my ribs you broke. I'm going to think about all these terrible things that you've done, and I'm not going to let go. I'm going to squeeze. I'm going to pop your bones. I'm going to make you feel your own pain game. I thought this was really, really good.
And that's great long-term storytelling too. Like, you know, he's not only talking about the stuff that Vader did to him, he's talking about the stuff that Vader's done to other people, which really puts Vader over as this big heel and puts Sting over as this big kind of underdog babyface that the fans are rallying behind to go up against Vader. And question for the professor, since I haven't thrown one in yet.
Yeah.
Is the WCW audience around this time just women and children? Because that is all you hear. Any segment you get.
A lot of stuff that they filmed. Actually, this wasn't even in Orlando, so I can't even say that. Yeah, I don't know. The WCW audience was weird during this time period.
Yeah.
I will tell you, though, and I will go on record to say that WCW around this time period is vastly underrated with a lot of their in-ring work.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
know, the year before this at Starrcade, you got that great Brian Pillman, Jushin Liger match. You're coming off the heels of the amazing Dangerous Alliance run, which I would love to talk about in the Classroom Run Day. Maybe one of the most underrated factions of all time. Do you know anything about the Dangerous Alliance?
No.
Listen to this faction. It is managed by Paul Heyman.
Okay.
It has Ravishing Rick Rude, the U.S. champion, the television champion, Stunning Steve Austin,
Okay.
the Enforcer, Arn Anderson,
All right.
Larry Zbyszko, and
Okay.
Beautiful Bobby Eaton. That was the faction.
What an alliance
It's
for
amazing.
sure.
Yeah, they had Medusa as their manager at Lunderblade.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. Like WCW really was like under the radar. Really had the rise of Vader here, Sting being Sting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they very underrated stuff during this time period, but it was just shot so poorly. And that was one thing Eric Bischoff always talks about when he took over. I want to make it brighter. You know, you look
True.
like you're in like the dungeons and these smoke-filled arenas, and
Right.
we need to change that. Now, granted, I love the smoke-filled arenas. I really like the vibes that, and we'll get into that when we talk about the match in a second here. But I like that grungy feeling. Like, you know what I mean? I like when I watch the match, I like kind of the display of it as well. I thought it added a different feel, which I liked.
Yeah, I like that we're exploring other type of wrestling with this as well, especially WCW, because this is completely different from anything that, well, obviously that you see nowadays, but even what we've seen already. This is completely different from your 97 vibes, you know, early 2000s. You know, this is something that's kind of just a lost art, I guess is a way to call it. Something you're never going to see again because I guess there's better ways of filming wrestling nowadays. But I feel like you said, I don't necessarily feel like the filming of it subtracts from the story involved. If anything, I think it adds to it because it adds that nostalgic feel to it. It adds that golden era-esque vibe that you're getting from Sting and Vader, and it's filmed in an era that these guys were at the top of their game. So I really like this type of route that we're going with here, and I would love to see some more of this WCW in the future.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad you kind of enjoyed it here. And so before we get into the match, this is a weird build to grade. And I'd like to know, do you want to do that now or do you want to do it after the match?
Yeah, let's do it now. You're right. It was very strange to grade this one. Honestly, most of my points are going to the White Castle of Fear. I feel like you can't otherwise. But with that being said, I feel like this was just a very simple build, nothing too crazy outside of your whole short film that you filmed. But for the majority, you're only getting Sting and Vader promos, which I liked, but to a point, you can make the argument that it is repetitive. I think you have some really great angles here with Vader painting the face and everything, and basically Vader in itself is a reason to put a positive towards this build. But overall, I'm going to stick to a B on this rating.
I think that's fair.
I think that's right in the middle. You could have cut out a lot of the repetitive promos, but you knew right from the start that once you got the White Castle of Fear in there, you're going to be in the positive rating. Play the game! Play the game! Stinger!
I agree with you. I think a B is perfect. You know, sometimes simple is effective. And these guys showed it here. They just told a great story that dated back almost a year and a half. You know what I mean? Like this went all the way back to July of the previous year. This is the third match on their pay-per-view series here. They would go on to have a couple more pay-per-view matches as well that were really, really good. And I think this was definitely the most violent match that they had on pay-per-view as well. What do you think? Are you ready to present us your report on the strap match and the White Castle?
I'm going to report it, and I'm going to report it Vader style.
And it's the White Castle of Fear. This non-sanctioned leather strap match is going to see Big Bad Vader, the 452-pound WCW World's Heavyweight Champion, strapped with a leather strap to Sting. It's all coming your way at SuperBrawl 3.
Oh, well, that is going to take us then to February the 21st, 1993, from the Asheville Civic Center in Asheville, North Carolina. We have the WCW World Heavyweight Champion Vader defending against Sting in a White Castle of Fear strap match. Mr. Cerulli, the class is all yours.
All righty, class. So right from the start, I knew that we were going to get some similarities to last week's episode of that David versus Goliath feel that we saw with Brock and Eddie. But where this match differs, I feel, is that Sting is a lot more even with Vader on the offensive end and even on the defensive end. To me, I like the fact that Vader isn't necessarily just overpowering Sting the majority of the early stages of the match, like you would see in a David versus Goliath feel, like we saw in Brock versus Eddie. Really, because these guys have fought multiple times already, so it wouldn't make sense to Sting be this. Sure, he's the underdog, but he's not necessarily an underdog that's going in, just fighting for the first time with Vader. He knows how Vader fights, so he's going to take advantage of those weak spots. And I love the use of Sting's. I love the Sting's use of the strap here, and he really tries to catch Vader off guard because, like I've been saying, if you have a much bigger opponent, you need to catch your opponent off guard. So with using this strap, he does this beautifully by tangling them up in the strap, touching the corners on the outside, which I thought was a really nice note here. Like, you never really see that in strap matches, but use what you can, I guess. And even just yanking Vader off the ropes, all things worked really well here.
A nice little touch they did that I enjoyed, and I don't know if you have that in your notes, so sorry if I'm stepping on your toes here.
No, all good.
Did you notice how after Sting hit Vader with the strap, they went to the outside and Harley Race bladed Vader's back?
Oh, I didn't notice that, actually.
So Vader's whole back was just gushing with blood. Like, Race gigged him on the outside. I thought that was really cool, an effective way to make the strap look dangerous.
Yeah, totally. I love that they really put some emphasis on the strap too. Like, a lot of times, you'll use a weapon, but it doesn't really show the effects on the wrestler. So with that note that I didn't even catch, it really shows, like, yeah, this strap, although it's just a leather strap, it's dangerous, which adds to the kind of power of this match, I guess. I don't really believe that there was a central story to be following here, other than the fact that this is just a grudge fight. Both men have a lot of explosive offense. You're not really going to see working the body parts or whatever. It was a little slow from the beginning, but it was really just going all in when Sting starts taking the offense. I like Vader slowing it down because, like I said, he's that big man. He wants to keep Sting from going too crazy and going too explosive, which Sting gets to at some point, but Vader ultimately slows down the pace, which works beautifully. Sting goes to the well a lot in this match, using the same moves over and over, like Brock and Eddie. You're going to see a lot of comparisons here because it's just that type of match.
Yeah.
David and Goliath here. But like I said last week, it works well because these moves are doing a number on Vader. So if it's working, then keep doing it. I think Sting does a few splashes off the top rope. It works. He keeps doing it, but he does it one too many times and then he fails. So it makes sense that he's doing these moves over and over, and it makes sense for Vader to counter them at some point. Plus, Sting's offense is just great. I love everything that Sting does, such as the best move in this match, which I think he pulled out in the Starrcade match, I want to say, with a little bit of a twist here. Vader pulls Sting out of the ropes from the strap, and we get another one of these spinning drop kicks that Sting does really well. I love the call by Shivani and Jesse Ventura, which I gotta say, we hear Jesse Ventura on the call, my favorite commentator of all time. So it's great to hear him.
Him and Shivani were great too. I like them together.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they worked really well here. You get a good call from them on the spinning drop kick with I believe it's Tony saying that Vader tries to pull him out, but Sting just catches him by accident or something, whatever it may be. But it seemed like it wasn't necessarily a move, rather it was just Vader pulling him out, and by some instance his foot catches him on the head. So again, adds to that natural feel that you got from the Great American Bash match, where it was just a natural occurrence that his head hits the post. You get that natural vibe here, which I like. Vader is just a great seller for Sting. I think he really puts it all out there for him. We don't get a lot of like agile Vader that you'll hear a lot of. Every time that people talk about Vader, I think people talk about him as one of the most agile big men of all time, but you don't really see it a lot here, but you definitely see it in the charisma that he adds to the selling for Sting, which I really like. It adds, it makes it seem that Vader is still in control, still in the most power here, but ultimately he still adds in that burst of energy and charisma to make Sting look good, which I love there. I like the final sequence with Sting a lot. Very strategic for Vader, kicking the ref. And then Harley Race, I believe he pulls the ref a little bit so that Sting trips on the ref carrying Vader. I like when heels are smart. You know what I mean? Like, you get a lot of smart heels nowadays, but ultimately you don't need to be snarky or, you know, do cheap heat to get over. If you're a smart big man, and this especially works perfectly for Vader here, you know, a lot of times big men are just, you know, they're the brute, and then you have your manager behind you to do all the smart work, a la Brock and Paul Heyman nowadays. But I like when, you know, both of them are kind of on the same wavelength. So Vader does one part, Harley Race does another part, and ultimately it makes Sting, you know, get at a disadvantage. So smart heel work by Vader really works in the end. And then we get to the finish, and I didn't love it simply because it didn't make sense. Because Sting kicks Vader, so it's supposed to end the 3 count, but Vader gets knocked into the 4th rope, and they call it a win.
I get what they were going for, because they wanted to obviously make it look like a fluke win and protect Sting.
Right, but
there should have been some. I think maybe Race should have done something. You know, if Race grabbed Sting's foot, maybe, or because like you said, once there's any physical contact, it breaks up the turnbuckles. Like, and that bothered me a lot as well.
I actually wanted to ask you, as far as strap matches, do you prefer when they hit the turnbuckles, or do you like when it's just? I've seen multiple strap matches that it's just, you know, pinfall or whatever else. What do you prefer as far as?
I like pinfall personally. I do think that touching the turnbuckles adds a really big deal of excitement, and it's like great to get the crowd into it.
Yeah, nice build up.
To me, like when you're doing a blow off match or a gimmick match like this, it's like a blood feud or like a heated rivalry. And it's like my thing with the cage match. I don't like cage matches where you escape the cage to win.
Right.
You're in the cage to settle a score. You're tied up on these straps to settle a score. So I like the pinfall submission. And then this is just used as a weapon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I love that. I love that explanation. And you're completely right. I don't know. The even nowadays that WWE modernized the strap match, that you have the red and the green lights on the side, it's like it makes it more of a gimmick than an actual fight.
Yeah.
So I liked this whole vibe here. It was a lot clear that you could see when you were going to get those 4 hits on the turnbuckles. And it felt like a fight. You got a lot of blood here too, so that all added to it. So overall, it was just a decent match. I didn't really feel like it wasn't perfect. I don't think that this was the exact way. Does this end the feud, or do they have another match after this?
This was pretty much it for a while.
Okay.
You know, I think they worked the house show loop for a long time.
Yeah.
Vader would move on eventually to I guess they did continue this because Vader would be the world champion until the end of the year. But they did like Sting and the Bulldog against Vader and Sid. So Vader and Bulldog kind of moved into a feud. Sting and Sid kind of moved into a feud, and then they merged into a tag match. And then Vader would go on to have a legendary match with Ric Flair at Starrcade, where he finally dropped the belt, which is definitely something that will be on the Classroom as well.
Absolutely. It sounds like a match that we should definitely watch. And I mean, if you want my grade here, again, I wasn't too sure on this one. I think there are some spots that definitely worked. But for me, although it was just a decent match, I didn't really feel like it connected that well. And the finish definitely took me out of it. So ultimately, with everything being taken into consideration, I'm going to give this match a B-.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, you know, it could have been a lot better. I feel like you should have focused more on the grudge feud. I think the early stage of the match really worked as far as, you know, making this a payoff. But I think the later, second half of this match was kind of a little too slow, focused more on the stipulation than anything really trying to put an end to this feud. So yeah, ultimately I'm going to give this a B-.
I'm with you. I'm going to give it a B just because I really like the violence in the first half of the match.
Totally.
Bloodbath was great. I thought the blading of the back was a nice touch. I love watching Sting throw a German suplex on Vader.
That was great. That was beautiful.
Crazy. I hated that Vader came out first because the champion should always come out last. But I love that we got to catch. I love that we got to hear "Man Called Sting," the best song ever.
Also, what's your take on Vader's theme song?
I love Vader's theme song at this time.
I can't tell if I like it or not because
go on YouTube and listen to it. It's so fitting for him.
Is it? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll have to double check.
Because it's tough to hear like with the commentators over it.
Yeah, yeah.
I love Vader's theme song.
All right, I'll take your word for it, but I don't know. It gave me like a strange vibe, like something Sting should be walking out to.
Yeah, no, Sting's theme song is the best. Like,
Oh yeah, I love that one.
because he's like, and have you ever heard the lyrics to it? Like the
No, I
beginning
don't
part?
think so.
It's like it goes like, Sting, he's the best, big and strong, and he's quick like a cat. Like, so cheesy, but it's so fitting for Sting. Like,
Yeah.
another one I would recommend putting in there. Maybe that'll be a little bonus section in the playlist that we'll add in there.
Oh, totally. Just their theme
Sting and
songs.
Vader's theme songs,
Yeah.
just for the fun of it. Well, I guess I have a job to do then, and that's to give the honor roll. And there were many considerations this week. The fur jackets, the guy with the eye patch, the White Castle of Fear, you know,
all together.
Harley Race, very
True.
funny, Sting. But in the end, there can only be one honor roll, and it has to be Vader Stinger. There's not even another option. I feel like we need to make like a video montage. You know, once we hit like maybe 50 episodes or 60 episodes of like, you know, like the mega powers. I don't even know what's going on, and like Stinger, like it's just got to be like the greatest hits. Like, you know what I mean?
I guarantee you, every episode going forward is going to have at least one White Castle of Fear reference, whatever it may be. I'm actually a bit disappointed that you did not pick the guy with the eye patch, just because he added so much to the
He was
segment.
close, but I'm saving him because I do have a feeling he will probably win the honor roll when we do the bash at the beach one.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah,
That makes me
because
excited.
he pretends to be a shark. He's swimming with a fin on his back.
Oh, okay.
I'm giving away too much.
Don't give away too much here, but okay, I could see Stinger being picked. Definitely definitely a good one.
Because I know it's going to be part of our show forever.
Oh yeah, I'm
You
telling
know,
you, at least one either play the game or
Yeah.
something.
Vader,
will always be
like
quoted.
based just off this build alone, Vader's got to be in contention for like our
The Hall of
Fame, like
Yes.
just for this. You know what I mean? He can't get in yet because we can't like.
Yeah, I got to
you know,
see more of Vader, but he
just
might
for
be on
this
his way.
alone, he's on the list now. He's on the ballot now. You know,
Our guys going forward are Bret Hart, Mick Foley, and Vader.
Yes, absolutely, and Eddie, of course,
And Eddie,
of
yes,
course.
and Eddie.
And also, please, again, I don't usually plug this hard, but big interview with Tyson Kidd coming up on Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. Just amazing stuff, and definitely some clips that you will be hearing on the Classic Match Classroom in the future when we discuss some Heart Foundation stuff again.
Nice.
Yeah, and like that's it for me, man. I don't have anything else this week. You got anything?
No, I got nothing else. You see all the social medias around us. Make sure to follow us, support the classroom, and yeah, I can't wait for the rest of February. It's going to be a good month for us.
And on that note, class has been dismissed.
Stinger!